Good afternoon. In this recording, I'm going to do a demonstration of New Jersey Child Support Guidelines. It's a presentation I recently did for the Hunterdon County peer group of NJPM. So I'm going to bring up the presentation and go through it slide by slide, and then I'm going to run the Child Support Guideline worksheets. So my first quote is, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." And this is a quote by Albert Einstein, and hopefully I understand the guidelines well enough to explain them, but I'm also looking for feedback, so let me know how I did. So New Jersey Child Support Guidelines are an income sharing model, which means that both parties' incomes are included in the calculation and the program allocates income between the two parties. Factors like the number of children, parenting time, additional expenses like healthcare insurance for the children, and childcare can be considered in the program. And the model caps out with a maximum joint income of $187,200. It doesn't mean that you don't have increased child support for people over those incomes, you just don't extrapolate. Two important points. The shared parenting worksheet is for parents who have 2 or more overnights, and the sole parenting worksheet is generally for parents who have less than 2 overnights. However, in low-income cases, the program will revert to the sole parenting worksheet. The program will usually provide the correct worksheet, and it has a lot of built-in intelligence guiding you on your decisions. So let's go and do a demonstration of an actual child support situation. And I'm going to bring up my screen with DivorceWare, which is the program that I use, but there are many other programs, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So we have a scenario of Mary Smith being the parent of primary residence. So we put her name in here. And the defendant is John Smith. And again, these are New Jersey Child Support Guidelines. Every state has its own guidelines. We can enter the county, the docket number, or the child support number, but I leave those for the attorneys who do the memorandum, who take the memorandum of understanding with what I've done, converted into a marital settlement agreement. Our program says that there are 2 children, and the father has every other weekend from Friday to Sunday. He also has Wednesday evenings, but those aren't considered in the calculation. So we're going to put in that 1 overnight a week, and we're going to enter that there are 3 people in the custodial parent's household and that there are 2 children. So we're going to add the children. And so you'll note that both children are under the age of 12, and the reason for that initially is because there is a bump up in basic child support for a child over the age of 12. So we put everything in the first page that we need, and now we're going to enter the income. So in our calculation, mom earns $60,000 a year. Oops. And the program allows you to put in income annually, monthly, semi-monthly, that means 24 paychecks a year, bi-weekly, that's every other week, or weekly. And dad earns 90. Again, that is annually. And then the program allows us to enter or change the tax credits and tax filing status. So as the custodial parent, mom is head of household. That's a subject for a different day. Dad is going to be filing a single. And even though the custodial parent is entitled to the tax credits for the children, mom has said dad can take one and she'll take one. And the program does say that the custodial parent should receive the allowances, but it also says that you can provide them to the other parent. And because child support is officially done weekly, we have $270 a week in child support. Now, let's see what happens when we change the number of overnights. If dad now gets 2 overnights, the child support is going to get lower because there is a credit for the extra overnight. And again, once we go to 2 overnights, we're using the shared parenting worksheet, not the sole parenting worksheet. And that also gives dad a credit for his housing expenses for the children. So now that we've gone to 2, the program tells me this is a shared parenting arrangement, and the child support went to 192. What happens when dad has 3 overnights? Then the child support goes to 141. And there is more where you can go to a shared parenting situation, and the program allows you to do that if you are having uh, 3.5 overnights each a week. And with the DEFILA formula, which is what most attorneys use for a complete shared parenting, where the controlled expenses such as clothing are also shared between the parties, uh, then the child support goes lower. So we have these, and we're going to print out and see what a child support worksheet looks like. So we're going back to the 2, and I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to bring up the shared parenting worksheet once it's printed. All right, and as I said before, the official guidelines are weekly. So the program is taking that 60,000 that mom earns a year, dividing it by 52 to come up with the weekly numbers. And what you can see on line 2A is that even though mom earns 2/3 of what dad earns, she is in a lower tax bracket because we have a progressive tax. The more you earn, the higher the tax rate. We come to a net income number for both parties, which is 2,347 a week. Embedded in the child support guidelines are tax tables and also child support tables. And what the tables say is in an intact household, the total cost weekly of raising these children, based on an economist analysis, is $521 a week. Now, when we're doing the shared parenting worksheet, we're also adding now the cost of dad's separate housing. And so with 115 added, the total cost of raising these children in 2 separate households, not including things like tutoring, summer camp, etc., food, clothing, shelter, transportation, is $636 a week. The program then allocates that total child support between the 2 parents. 273 that mom's responsible for that she pays herself, and 363 that dad's responsible, some of which he pays mom and some of which are direct expenses. So the 115 is directly for his housing, and 56 of that is going towards his parenting costs when the children are with him, primarily food and transportation. So that his child support is 192 that he pays mom. A lot of parents will say, well, you can't raise a child on $192. And you're not, because we're also looking at that 273 that mom is paying directly for the children. So it's good to look at the guidelines and understand them. One of the key numbers on the guidelines is that each parent's share of income. So 43% for mom, 57% for dad. And that's a number that's often used when we're looking at paying for those extra out-of-pocket costs. Now, going back to the guidelines, I'd mentioned that sometimes you can add in certain costs, such as healthcare insurance. So let's just do that to demonstrate what that looks like. And let's just say that mom's paying for the health insurance. And basically, the health insurance is getting allocated to each parent based on percentage of income. So if mom's paying for the health insurance, she's going to get a 57% credit from dad. Clearly, the child support is going to go up when she's paying that. And so let's put $200 a month in with mom paying the health care insurance. And the health care insurance went to $218 a week. Let's go back and now take that out. And if dad's going to pay the health care insurance, then mom's going to be owing him a credit of that 43%. And so the child support should go down. And so it went from 192 to 172 a week. There are other nuances with the child support, such as if one of the children is over the age of 12, you usually increase basic child support by 7.3%. If the two are, then it's 14.6. And there are other things that we can look at, such as putting alimony in. But this was a review of basic child support. I hope it's been helpful. And I'm going to lastly share um, the some other sources that you might want to look at in terms of uh, child support programs. And I'm using Divorceware, but EasySoft is a popular product, Family Law Soft. And there is a free calculator on the web. It does not print out the guidelines, but the numbers are fairly close. This is called Quick Calc. I hope this basic 101 child support review has been helpful. If you have questions, you can email me at ajessani@dwdmediation.org. Thank you again.